How do you understand the relationship between Hamas and Iran?
It's a very weird and awkward relationship because Shia and Sunni, they hate each other. And so there is a bloody history between both sects. But it's in Iran's interest to destabilize the region. And they find in Hamas a device. They give Hamas billions of dollars, but they...
Why do you think the Americans, especially the Democrats, why do you think they can't see this?
Because everybody's after their interest. I would destroy the Iranian nuclear program immediately. This is what I called from day one. I said the most adequate response to October 7 is the destruction of Iran's nuclear program. You cannot give a Muslim country a nuclear power. It was a big mistake to let Pakistan to become a nuclear power. This could lead to a global situation, a very ugly situation. They are not responsible. They are dictatorship. They are not accountable to anybody but Allah. How can you give them
their interpretation of Allah?
Of course, yeah. And how Allah itself, I don't want to say even interpretation, because Allah as is in the Quran is a very dangerous entity. So it's not a matter of misinterpretation that, you know, the guy is a very good guy in the Quran and the Islamists or extremists see him as a bad guy. No, he's a bad guy. So sooner or later, the world is going to wake up on a disaster and realize what we are saying is the truth. So the United States is not doing their job. We have advanced weaponry, like, for example, the electromagnetic bomb. We'll drop one of these, paralyze their entire system. No civilians will die in this process. Just send them back to the Stone Age, and in the meantime, destroy their nuclear program. Show them, you know, who is the boss. But instead, we are compromising so they can get access to our intellectual property and use our weapons against us. This is insanity. But why the Biden administration doing this? Because he's trying to please the voters. He's trying to please Rashida Tlaib. He's trying to please the LGBT.
That's all part of that victim-victimizer narrative.
Yes, he's trying to please everybody. And I say, you know, if strong leaders take risk. Take risk. Weak leaders try to please everybody. And I think this is a situation of this administration. You cannot please everybody. You cannot please Israel and please Rashida Tlaib simultaneously. You cannot. You need to choose. Who's my ally in this situation? Israel is a reliable ally and they are under attack, and they are protecting the American interests in the region. They are maintaining the stability of the region. I don't want to say the world. It's not just an ally. But then they come and accuse America of giving support to Israel. Well, how much support Israel give the United States? How much support the Jewish population in the United States, American Jews, give the American Treasury from their tax money and in every aspect of economy.
What conclusions did you draw about the Jewish society in Israel as you became more and more familiar with its nature?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's democracy. That it's a diverse society. There are the Muslims, there are the Jews, the Christians, there are human rights. You know, one of the things that was just unbelievable during the Second Palestinian Intifada, when a building collapsed, and there were clashes on the checkpoints everywhere, shooting at soldiers, and it was very dangerous for the Israelis to enter the city of Ramallah. But when the building collapsed, we did not have rescue team. We did not have a fire department because it's such a corrupt system that invested all the money in luxury and they never invest the money in infrastructure. So the dozens of workers stuck under the rubble and we cannot get them out. So we had to call the Israelis during the second Intifada while we're shooting at them to say, please come into Ramallah to the city center and help us. So Israel sent the fire department, of course, with the IDF to protect them. The entire day evacuating the victims, taking them to Israeli hospitals. And after a long day, the IDF exit the city of Ramallah, and people rewarded them, shooting at them, throwing Molotov cocktails, throwing stones, etc. My job, I was there because my job was just be there to make sure that the troops are okay. So the troops protecting the rescue team, I am there to make sure that the troops are okay, and the civilians of Ramallah are waiting for the troops to evacuate after helping the Palestinians by throwing stones, Molotov cocktails, and shooting at them. This type of events, you know, are just insane. And it just keeps going like this. Everything about the Palestinian mentality, the Arab culture, and you see the law and order, that there is protocol. The Israeli intelligence follow a protocol. No one was arrested if Israel did not have evidence of their involvement in terrorism. And no one was assassinated, especially the most dangerous terrorists that Israel could not arrest, that they were hiding in the city centers. That none of them were killed if they did not have direct relationship to suicide bombing attacks and they had blood on their hands. None.
So you saw an organization that ran by rule of law.
Absolutely, and there is no doubt about it. And this is why I'm heartbroken, because I know what's happening in Gaza right now really pushed Israel to the corner, that they had no other choice. And there was no possibility to avoid civilian casualties after October 7, because I know at their heart they would never hurt an innocent civilian. And they gave the...
Why did you become convinced of that?
Because in our operation, this is how we dealt with the situation.
So you saw this firsthand?
Yes. Like later on, one of the exceptions of my entire career, that it was a day where the agency had no choice but to kill one of Yasser Arafat's bodyguards. His name was Muhannad Abu Halawa. This guy was killed about 13 Israelis, and he was hiding in Yasser Arafat compound. I was the one who discovered him. So I was the only one who could recognize him. And the Israeli intelligence said, listen, we have no one else except you. And this guy is going every night shooting and killing people. Yasser Arafat gave him immunity. The Israeli intelligence could not go into Yasser Arafat compound and arrest him. And they could not predict where he's going. And they didn't know how he looked like. So they wanted him dead. That was the only way to deal with him. So the agency said, listen, you have your moral thing. You don't want to kill anybody. But if this guy is not dead, he's going to kill people tonight, tomorrow night, and he's going to go like this. So this is when I had to compromise. The first attempt, a top Fatah leader was in the car. His name is Marwan Barghouti. He's today in Israeli prison, and everybody said that this could be the next Palestinian president. And the operation was cancelled because there was other terrorists in the car. I'm not talking about like a civilian in the car. And this guy was so hard to find. Like the agency would say, it's like, you know what? Eliminate both of them. We are not going to take a risk that he's going to kill more Israeli civilians. And the operation was canceled. I was really shocked. Okay, I was shocked. So our job was many times when we knew about a safe house of a terrorist, okay, is his family there? Okay, when is his family leaving? It always civilian situation was taken into consideration. And this is a 10-year experience. So when people come to me today, it's like that Israel is ethnically cleansing the Palestinians. It's a lie. Israel Israel is accountable to international law. Israel cannot do this. Even if there was corruption, let's say some racist within the IDF and they did something illegal, they would be held accountable. But this is not a state policy. It cannot be. But people want to see it in black and white. If you come try to bring them other truth, like for example, what's happening today is a collateral damage. And it's not only that. Who's killing the civilians? Did people take into consideration that Hamas put booby traps everywhere? And how would we know the difference between Israeli airstrike and Hamas booby trap that targeted civilians? And how do we know actually that it's not in Hamas interest to kill civilians? So then how many Hamas...
It's clearly in their interest.
Of course. This is the most powerful weapon in their hands to delegitimize Israel and get legitimacy on a global level.
I think it's impossible to understand the situation in Israel without understanding that the Palestinians are expendable.
Yeah. So Hamas is committing not only a capital crime by committing a genocide on October 7, which actually defines the genocide, then the Muslims around the world outnumber Israel and change the narrative so fast that we go from a Jewish genocide on October 7 to a Palestinian genocide in less than 70 days. This is how fast...
That's effective work on Iran's part, in my estimation.
Just 2 days ago, we had a debate. I had to pay somebody $20,000 from my pocket to debate me on the topic because no one else agreed to...
Where was that?
Debate. Berkeley University. And that's one of the most respectful educational institutions that they cannot even host a debate on their own. A debater had to pay from his own pocket to bring his opponent to have a discussion. And the funny thing that this guy acts like a giant outside of the debate, like when you see him, Al Jazeera is Al Jazeera host and was a CNN anchor, delivered a speech to the United Nations and called from a United Nations podium from the river to the sea. But when he came to the debate, he agreed with 90% of the things that I was saying. I was like, then who are you? That you're outside, just this outrageous anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, pro-Palestine, and all of a sudden here, you're just chickened out. And I cannot find a debate, like a decent debate. I've been calling them out. Come debate me, let's talk about this. This is not a joke. Children are dying. This is not a political stand. This is not a career. I'm not your typical expert coming on the topic. You get in the way where I'm trying to stop the death of innocent children, protect them from predators that have been killing them for 70 years by the name of Palestine. You get in my way, I destroy you if necessary. So I'm not politically correct. I cannot be, and I don't care if you cancel me or not. And I'm not in a position even to reason with you. We are at war right now. It's finished. We can talk about it later. But it breaks my heart that America is my country now. And I have responsibility towards the people. That we don't want to bring the intifada here. We don't want to globalize the intifada. In fact, we want to deglobalize it. We want to localize it. We want to cut all the foreign entities that have been trying to take advantage of this conflict. And we have to give the power to the people, to the Arabs. They are Arabs. They're not Palestinians. So please help me with this. This is what I've been trying to spread, that there is no such a thing as Palestine. Palestinian is a political identity. It's a corrupt one, a colonial one. It's actually very disrespectful for the Arabs who were born in that region to call themselves after a colonial entity and adapt it as a national identity. It's just absurd. This is why I don't use the term for myself. You say, No, keep them Arabs. They were born there. They have the birthright to be there. But what they don't need a state. They need a police force. They need education. They need economy. They need decent leadership that works towards building a nation. They need a civil constitution. They need to be friends with Israel and drop their stupid idea of destroying Israel, because Israel is going nowhere. If they cannot see Israel as just the same way they see themselves, when they look at an Israeli child, like they see them as their own child, then we have a problem. We cannot justify the killing of Jewish children because they are Jewish. This is where I need this to be. And I don't want this whole nationalism, this whole Palestine. So, of course, when I see now globalizing the issue, bringing it to the States and making free Palestine. Well, your Palestine is not a hostage in my basement. Stop saying free Palestine. You know, decent human beings, decent Americans would say free the hostages. Not tear down the posters of hostages, you know, not even allowing their families to represent their case in the land of the free. And what they want to free? They want to free a concept, a dangerous political concept that actually depends on the destruction of order at the expense of children, at the expense of generations, at the expense of individuality. Who are we? You know, we are Americans. This is, I mean, not only Americans, anybody in the West. This is our value system. So this is where it gets really, as you see, like I speak about it with lots of strong emotions, because there is no way, there is no other medium for me. What's happening is absurd, not only on the American campuses. Before you say free Palestine, at what expense? At the expense of Israel? You want ethnic cleansing from the river to the sea, so this hypothetical political entity would take place in reality? And who's going to pay the price? The Palestinian children? And for how long? We have been paying this price for 70 years. And all we received in return, suffering, pain, confusion, and a minority of con artists became billionaires. Yasser Arafat had $9 billion in his bank account before he died, and it vanished because his wife stole it after she killed him. And this is the first time I see it in public. Yes, after his wife unplugged the life support and he died. Even the Palestinian people don't know this. And let them go figure. His wife is his killer. So we're talking about such corruption and fight for money, where the first lady is killing the father of the nation. And in the meantime, screwing a Mossad agent. So I'm done with this. I don't want to see more children dying, and I don't care for the Palestinian entity.